The anointed ones, welcome. Not everyone is ready to face themselves, but you are different. You don't just enter a space, you shift it. Long before they see you, they feel you. Your presence alone unsettles egos, shakes illusions, and forces truth to the surface. You are not here for empty words or shallow praise. You don't offer comforting lies or pretentious advice. You bring something far more powerful: clarity. The moment they stand before you, their carefully built identities begin to crack. Their masks slip, and they realize you are not just another passerby. You are something they never expected. They caught your image in the skies, yet they still struggle to comprehend what you are. A force beyond their understanding. A presence that cannot be ignored. The chosen ones do not seek validation. They reveal truth, and truth changes everything. The brain responds to information that threatens one's identity in the same manner as it does to physical danger, according to research. That implies a person's mind panics like it's being hunted by a bear when you present them with the unvarnished truth about themselves. And you know what? The bear is you. Their souls subconsciously needed the one they didn't anticipate. Congratulations if you have ever been accused of doing too much when all you did was exist. One of the selected ones is you. And this is your truth, unvarnished, painful, and unavoidable. First and foremost, you are the mirror that breaks illusions. Whether they are prepared for it or not, people see themselves reflected back, not you. Because of this, some people like you right away, while others find you annoying, and others are uncomfortable with you for no apparent reason. It isn't directly related to you. What you reveal without even trying is what matters. You mirror people's paradoxes, worries, and insecurities in addition to their positive traits. They get frightened as the masks they have worn for years begin to slip. The majority of individuals meticulously construct an identity throughout their life, one that gives them a sense of security, acceptance, and control. When you arrive, their illusions begin to crumble like flimsy glass without a word. People project upon you because of this. They will accuse you of being conceited when, in reality, they are unable to manage their own self-doubt. They will claim that you are too intense, but in reality they are uncomfortable with the aspects of themselves that you draw their attention to. Because it's simpler than confronting the possibility that their whole sense of self may be precariously based, they will pretend that you are the issue. Because of this, you'll discover that those who are most profoundly impacted by your presence are also the ones who respond to you the most strongly, whether in a favorable or negative way. Some will seek you out because they believe you have something genuine to offer. People will attempt to make you their own villain, shun you, or bring you down. It's not about you, however. It all comes down to what you stand for, a real, live encounter with the reality they have been avoiding. The catch is that it cannot be turned off. This is something that you are, not something that you do. Being a chosen one is thus a duty rather than a title, because illusions don't simply tremble when you enter a room, they shatter. The second is that since you are the antidote, the world opposes you. The world attacks you, not just resists you. Not because you're mistaken, but rather because you challenge the myths that people have lived their whole lives on. You are the remedy that people sorely need but do not want, the antidote to delusion. Additionally, you taste unpleasant to those who are dependent on comfort, much like any medication. Most individuals are seeking comfort rather than the facts. They want to be assured they're okay exactly the way they are, even if they're losing themselves in their own illusions. They don't want to change. Then you appear and unintentionally destroy that fantasy. You don't play along with illusions or stroke egos. People are forced to either wake up or push you away because of the way you live. You know which one most people pick? They reject you because you pose a danger to the narratives they tell themselves, not because you pose a threat to them. They have been creating fake identities for years, sometimes even their whole lives. You only reveal their names, you don't fight them. And that's plenty to have others see you as their adversary. They will describe you as challenging, unlikable, and maybe even dangerous. Not because you are, but rather because it feels like death to let go of their delusions. It is, in a sense, the demise of the illusory ego. However, most individuals resist that metamorphosis with all their might rather than accepting it. They attack you because they are unable to combat the truth itself. Being the antidote is a lonely journey because of this. People will leave you. People will misinterpret you. Stories that were never yours in the first place will feature you as the antagonist. But keep in mind that resistance is evidence of influence. You wouldn't be shaking anything if the world didn't push back. Additionally, you wouldn't be fulfilling your purpose if you weren't shaking anything. Number 3. A spiritual autopsy is compelled by your presence. There's a change in folks when they meet you. Their subconscious does, even if they are first unaware of it. It begins to analyze itself, tearing apart habits, attitudes, and beliefs that people believe to be unchangeable. This is a thorough spiritual autopsy, not only a self-reflection exercise. It's also painful, intrusive, and unavoidable once it starts, just like any autopsy. You don't need to speak. Nothing needs to be forced. People are triggered by your energy alone, which makes them confront something they weren't prepared to. All of the things they have been avoiding seem to abruptly come into focus, as if their souls are suddenly illuminated by a harsh, intense light. Whether they like it or not, everything that they do, the roles they play, the falsehoods they tell themselves, the worries they deny, gets brought to the surface. This explains why certain individuals are attracted to you right away, much like a moth to a flame. They feel your honesty, depth, and rawness, and they have a need for it. However, it also scares them since they will be confronting aspects of themselves that they have been ignoring for years. It involves reconsidering everything they believed was genuine, and not everyone is built for that type of self-confrontation. This is the reason why individuals would abruptly alter their behavior around you, lash out at you, or ghost you. Sometimes they can't tolerate you, and other times they adore you. It's a protection mechanism. It's not personal. They fled rather than confronting the issue because you set up a reaction in them that they weren't prepared to handle. The reality is that once the process begins, it cannot be reversed. They may try to ignore you or deny their feelings, but they know deep down that you made them feel something. They will eventually have to deal with it. You leave an impression like that, one that lasts long after you're gone and is neither fleeting nor superficial. The fourth is that you intentionally, rather than by choice, are a walking ego remover. Calling them out, challenging them, or even just saying anything is not necessary. People are shaken to their core just by your presence. Why? The contrast between who they believe themselves to be and who they really are is revealed by your very presence. And facing it is a scary experience for the majority of individuals. Ego deaths happen on their own. You don't have to attempt. Individuals are forced to consider their own authenticity by your actions, thoughts, and refusal to fit in with superficial expectations. Because of the depth you possess, some people will respect you for it. Even if you haven't done anything wrong, a lot of other people will feel threatened, as though you are personally assaulting them. This is because their ego perceives existential peril rather than bodily harm. Maintaining a feeling of identity, even if it is based on false information, is the ego's only responsibility. Therefore, their ego panics when you appear, exhibiting depth, truth, and self-awareness. It enters defensive mode and makes excuses to criticize, despise, or even detest you. They may call you conceited, too passionate, or troublesome, not because you are, but because that's the only way their ego can defend ignoring the discomfort you create. This explains why certain individuals behave oddly around you. They'll get defensive over stuff you didn't say. They will start arguments over irrelevant topics. When discussions get too intense, they will either avoid making eye contact or shift the topic. They don't detest you. Rather, they don't like the things you make them face about themselves. In actuality, you were never intended to blend in. You weren't made to flatter others or encourage them to believe their delusions. You were created to confront, arouse, and remove the facades that others put up. And they will always remember you, regardless of whether they love or loathe you for it. Fifth, they will resist you more fiercely the closer they are to the brink. Those closest to their awakening are often the ones who oppose you the most. They perceive the change occurring even if they are unaware of it. But their ego isn't prepared to let go. And in an attempt to defend itself against what seems to be an existential danger, it lashes out like any other trapped animal. The irony is that these individuals are rejecting the change that your presence signifies rather than you. They are on the brink of something bigger and more profound than they have ever experienced. They cling to what is known, even if it is based on false information, rather than taking that step. The unknown still seems more dangerous. This explains why those who are about to experience true self-discovery often respond with defensiveness, rage, or downright animosity. They are afraid of what will happen if they accept the truth, not because they don't want it. The ego has been developing a feeling of identity for years, perhaps decades. Their mind perceives your appearance as a danger to their survival when you inadvertently contradict that identity. They will dispute you, misrepresent your statements, and persuade themselves that you are the issue. Not because they really think so, but rather because confronting their own image is too difficult. Even when they say they don't like you, you'll find that they continue to interact with you. That's because, despite their ego's resistance, something inside of them is pulled to what you stand for. Most individuals are unaware that they are engaged in this delicate conflict. However, the conflict between their ego, which hates truth, and their soul, which yearns for it, is seen in real time. And they struggle more brutally the closer they are to escaping. The problem is that resistance is temporary. When the time is perfect, some will finally let go, while others will continue to struggle. And even if they resisted you at every turn, they will remember you as the one who helped them achieve that freedom when they do. Sixth, because of the healing you provide, you will be despised. People dislike what you make them realize about themselves, not you. They detest how your presence reveals their inconsistencies, fears, and the aspects of themselves they have been hiding. They detest the fact that they can't act like someone they're not around you. The process of healing isn't always serene and lovely. It seems like battle at times. It feels like anguish, loss, and the disintegration of everything. And those who aren't prepared for that type of change tend to snap at the person who brought it about. You are that person. You may have seen how people are first attracted to you because of your depth, clarity, and insight. However, the adulation quickly changes to hate the instant you question their delusions, whether on purpose or accidentally. Actual healing necessitates actual change, which is why they swing from craving your presence to avoiding you, from applauding your insight to rejecting you as too much. Furthermore, the majority of individuals are unwilling to abandon their cozy delusions. People are healed when they are forced to face what they have been avoiding, not when you give them what they want to hear, and to others who would like to sleep, that makes you dangerous. They will misinterpret you, paint you as a monster, and hold you responsible for their unease. A part of them, however, understands deep down that you weren't the enemy, but rather the much-needed medication they never requested. Realizing that you have no control over their response is the most difficult aspect. While some may finally express gratitude, others will harbor a lifelong grudge. But the effect is still there. Even if their ego won't acknowledge it, you were the moment their soul awakened. And only the strongest can bear that weight. The seventh is that when you murder fake identities, they grieve for them as if they were departed loved ones. The majority of individuals are tied to their identity rather than just possessing it. It encompasses their whole identity, not simply the part they perform. For them, it seems like a death when you come along and ruin it. It's not simply an adjustment. You may have seen it. Someone contacts you and initially becomes enthralled. Your vitality, genuineness, and depth captivate them. Then, however, something changes. They begin to see that the self-image they have been projecting to the outside world isn't as reliable as they once believed. They start to doubt their ingrained behaviors, beliefs, and stories. And all of a sudden it hurts to be near you. That anguish is about what they're losing, not about you. Because individuals sense sadness when fake identities are removed. The ego laments the delusion it has been cultivating for years. They may attempt to resist it, reject it, or hold on to their old habits, but they know in their hearts that something has changed. And it is frightful. Some will welcome the change and benefit from it. Others will behave irrationally, bitterly, and in denial, much like someone who has just lost a loved one. They will remove themselves, place the blame on you, and pretend that you stole something from them. In actuality, however, you took nothing. You just made visible what was never genuine in the first place. That type of revelation is not for everyone. Instead of embracing an unknown future, some individuals would prefer to lament a false identity. However they respond, one thing is for sure. Once they've met you, they can never return to their former selves. And they will always remember the part you played in their change, whether they love you or loathe you for it. The eighth is that, while you speak the language of the soul, most people only comprehend the ego's cacophony. When you're saying the truth, there's a reason why others misinterpret you, misrepresent your words, or behave as if you're speaking a foreign language. It's because you're speaking from a location they haven't yet arrived to. You're using truth, knowledge, and self-discovery, the language of the soul. However, the majority of people, their ego serves as their soul filter, and everything is distorted by the ego. Even if you say something deep, something that may alter someone's life, they won't see it as wisdom if they're still acting from their ego. They will see it as an assault. It will be personal to them. They'll think you're attempting to minimize them, but you're really giving them the key to their own development. However, they would have to acknowledge that their ego isn't in charge if they were to take that key, and that's too scary for most people to deal with. This explains the rejection of several outstanding educators, leaders, and visionaries by their own generation throughout history. The individuals they were speaking to weren't prepared to hear it, not because their message wasn't important. You'll discover that many others around you respond in the same manner if you possess the same energy and honesty. They will ignore you, make fun of you, or behave as if you're the one who's lost, not because you are, but rather because they would have to relearn everything they believed to be true if they accepted your reality. Hearing words is just one aspect of true listening. Another is being open to changing as a result of them. And most individuals get trapped there. Instead of taking in your advice, they flatly reject it since their ego fights against everything that challenges its identity. However, they secretly know you're correct. Because of this, even after people have written you off, your words continue to resurface in their thoughts. Even when the ego won't listen, the soul knows. The ninth is that loneliness becomes your shadow the more powerful you are. You'll notice something when you're carrying the type of energy that changes others. The more powerful you are, the less people can stand being around you. It's just the nature of power. It's not personal. Genuine power intimidates as well as attracts. Additionally, individuals will either avoid you or attempt to undermine you if they feel frightened. Powerful energy is anything but pleasant, and most people want for ease. It makes individuals examine themselves, reevaluate their beliefs, and confront their meticulously constructed delusions. Because of this, your circle becomes smaller as you get older. People will turn away from you more if you embrace your power. It's not because you've changed negatively, but rather because they can't stand the fire you carry. Since fewer individuals can meet you at higher elevations, loneliness turns into your shadow. Most people would prefer to remain in their cozy little worlds than go out into the unknown with you, not because you want to be alone. From afar, they will admire you. You will serve as an inspiration to them. However, they hesitate when it comes to standing next to you, since being near you implies being open to change. Not everyone is prepared for it either. Even those who profess to love, support, or respect you will find it difficult to really comprehend you, you'll discover. Your soul moves in ways that don't fit into the typical, predictable patterns that most people assume, and your intellect functions on a different frequency. And being so different may be both a blessing and a liability. The fact is, however, that loneliness is not an indication of failure. It demonstrates that you are performing at a level that most individuals have not yet attained. The people who can match your energy, the few who really understand it, will be worth more than 1,000 fleeting relationships, even if the path may sometimes seem barren. 10th, those who are most afraid of you frequently secretly want your energy. There are others who will pretend they can't stand you. They'll ignore you, make fun of you, or act as if you're the issue. However, if you look closely, you'll notice something odd. They never completely vanish. They keep coming back to you like a magnet they can't get away from, despite their claims to the contrary. This is because they secretly want for your vitality, depth, and genuineness. Their soul sees something in you that they want, even if they don't acknowledge it to themselves. Their ego is unable to cope with that realization, which is the issue. Therefore, they conceal their admiration for you via opposition, envy, or even open animosity rather than acknowledging it. You'll discover that those that monitor you the most are often the ones who criticize you the most. They strive to compete with you, imitate you, and study you because they wish they could easily embody what you do. However, since they are still enmeshed in their own ego, they are unable to just enjoy your presence. Instead, they must resist it, as if admitting your strength will somehow weaken them. It's an odd relationship that, if you see it for what it is, can be both funny and annoying. They dislike the fact that they see something in you that they wish they had, not you. Even when their ego is shouting in opposition, they detest the fact that their soul speaks to you. The worst part is that a lot of these individuals will change their ways in the future. They will try to pass it off as personal development or a change of heart, but in truth, they have merely come to terms with the fact that you were their wake-up call, not their adversary. And your energy continued to draw them toward the truth despite their resistance. 11th, the havoc you create when you settle for less is a measure of your strength. You aren't really performing the task if you don't disturb foundations. True power causes disruption, dismantling, and change instead than blending in. And if you're a chosen one, folks who have centered their lives on immobility will be unnerved by your very presence. The majority of individuals spend their time attempting to establish stability, even if it is based on false information. They shun anything that challenges their reality, adhere to routines, and maintain familiar ideas. Things seem less steady all of a sudden once you arrive. All of a sudden, they begin to ask questions they had never asked before. The meticulously built universe doesn't appear as solid all of a sudden. For this reason, when you're only speaking the truth, others will label you too much or behave as if you're stirring up problems. You bring truth into places that were founded on lies, not that you're chaotic. And what isn't genuine is destroyed by truth itself. Making others feel at ease is not your purpose. You're not here to keep things as they are. You're here to disrupt routines, dispel myths that keep people stuck, and shake things up. This implies that you will cause discomfort to others. People will see you as disruptive. There will be opposition to you. However, it is evidence that you are fulfilling your destiny. You wouldn't be walking in your power if you entered a room and nothing altered or moved. But you'll know you're doing what you're supposed to do if your very presence makes others question everything they believe to be true. Because being inevitable is what true power is all about, not being acceptable. The storm and the shelter are both you, number 12. You are both protection and devastation. You are the storm to people who are holding on to lies. You are merciless, unrelenting, and destroying everything they have used to define themselves. You are the haven for those who are looking for the truth. You are a wellspring of insight, understanding, and safety from the world's delusions. Most people won't realize which version of you they're meeting until it's too late, which is ironic. Your presence is problematic to people who are involved in illusions. You may question everything they believe in simply by being who you really are. You don't even need to try. They will act as if you are the cause of their disarray, oppose you, and call you tough. However, you are just exposing the instability that was always there. You are not the source. When you appear, it becomes hard to ignore the flaws in their universe, which was never stable in the first place. However, you are the opposite for those who are prepared, those who have been looking for something genuine. In the midst of their own internal conflict, truth seekers find solace in you, the eye of the storm. They feel comfortable breaking down, questioning, and rebuilding around you. Instead of giving them answers, you allow them the freedom to find their own. People are confused by this dichotomy. Some people will see you from both sides at different times. They could regard you as the power that broke their illusions one day, and then they might recognize that it was devastation that freed them. Unwilling to change, they will only witness the devastation and never realize that you were constantly providing refuge beyond the storm. You have no control over how other people see you. You are just who you are. Unvarnished, authentic, and unaffected by delusions. It is up to them whether they rush toward you or away from you. In any case, you are unavoidable. 13. You are a spiritual exorcism in your own being. Before they ever see you, they sense you. Something changes as soon as you enter a room. Some individuals have an inexplicable sense of clarity when they are around you. Others get nervous, agitated, or uneasy for reasons they are unable to even explain. In actuality, their devils are the ones that detect you first, not their soul. To everything that isn't genuine, you are a live, breathing disturbance. In your presence, none of the meticulously crafted facades, the ego-driven storylines, or the fake identities hold water. Individuals who have been deceiving themselves for years suddenly feel vulnerable. There's something about you that makes people uneasy, and they have no idea why. This is due to the fact that you move a space rather than just entering it. Everything that is concealed is forced into the light by the energy you offer. This is the reason why some individuals would despise you right away for no apparent reason. If it's not them, it's what's in charge of them, their repressed realities, their unhealed scars, or their phobias. The minute you arrive, they all begin to flail. You are a human manifestation of a spiritual exorcism, and not everyone is prepared for that. Some may try to minimize the agony you cause by avoiding you, attacking you, or making fun of you. They are aware that you notice them, however. At the same time, you will attract those who are prepared to change. They may not quite get why, but they sense it. The way your presence causes them to consider issues they have long disregarded. They lean in rather than escape because they understand that the pain is required. You don't have to speak. You have the power to make others face their own darkness just by being there. You will be cursed by some and praised by others. In any case, they will always remember you. The 14th is that people who are unable to deal with you will think about you 1,000 times, not because of who you are, but rather because of what they need you to be. Others will rewrite, reinterpret, and distort you in their imaginations. They cannot accept you for who you really are because you are too big, too complicated, and too unvarnished. They will thus construct versions of you that suit their comfort zones rather than confronting the real you. You might be their biggest danger one moment and their greatest inspiration the next. They see you as intelligent and enlightened one minute, and then they persuade themselves that you are dangerous or conceited. Not because you have changed, but rather because their opinion of you was never founded in reality. Their own conflicts served as the basis for it. People will turn against you for no apparent reason because of this. Why would someone who used to think highly of you suddenly turn against you? Why the people who earlier commended your wisdom would later change what you say to fit their own storylines? It's about how their mind tries to make sense of your existence in light of their own delusions, not about you. The only way some people can defend their rejection of the reality you provide is by painting you as a villain. Because acknowledging differently would imply acknowledging that you altered them, others will minimize your influence and persuade themselves that you were never that significant in the first place. The version of you that made them face their own inconsistencies will be buried when they murder you in their imaginations. However, you are not there to fit into their narratives. You transcend their stories and their desire for dominance. You were never intended to be understood by everyone. Know of how many times they rewrite you. Some will delete you, while others will distort you. However, those who really see you will see you for who you are, indefinable, memorable, and beyond description. Conclusion. The burden of inevitable fate. Following this road is to be both admired and despised, coveted and avoided, understood by a select few yet experienced by everyone. The world does not pass you by unnoticed. You disturb even when you are silent. You change even while you are still. You're not here to win people over. Comfort is not why you are here. To awaken, you are here. Just your existence compels conflict. Ego deaths happen only because you exist. You don't give them out. You are the storm that breaks down illusions and the haven for those who dare to pursue the truth. You are the mirror that people either look into with shaking hands or flee from. Whether people hate your name or praise you for it, you transform them by bringing chaos to complacency. However, The weight of loneliness accompanies immense power. Fewer people walk by your side the further you go, not because you are unworthy of friendship, but rather because few people have the fortitude to face your fire without recoiling. Those who are unable to reconcile your existence with their delusions will misunderstand, misinterpret, and even despise you. Because of what you make people see, not because of who you are, they will rewrite you in their thoughts 1,000 times, but you persevere in spite of everything. Because effect is what your life is all about, not approval. One thing is certain, regardless of whether people accept you or reject you, you are unique. There is no denying you. You are a force that is interwoven with the process of change, and no ego, no delusion, and no rewriting of your narrative can ever take away that. It's okay if this message came to you in unexpected ways. It was intended for you then. Now, do action rather than simply sitting there. Together, let's go farther on this adventure. This is just the beginning, so click that subscribe button. If this video got you thinking, please like it. Whether you agree, disagree, or feel called out, please share your opinions in the comments section. I'd want to hear it. Additionally, share it with someone you know who is in need of it, someone who is on the verge of waking. This is a movement rather than just content. Hold on tight, for there will be more revelations. You won't want to miss what comes next, I assure you. May you be blessed.